Hey y'all, it's your favorite sassy attorney, and I am back. And while I know you love my stories about our favorite city council characters from the city of Washington, the tax kings, I am going to shift our story ever so slightly to a very important election that's coming up this early spring. And that election is for the 79th District State House seat. That seat has been held by a Republican since 2019, well, much earlier than that, but this particular incumbent has held this position since 2019. So, not to rewind it back to civics in the fourth grade, but just a reminder, the North Carolina General Assembly is made up of two bodies, the House and the Senate. So when we're talking about the 79th district of the House, we're talking about our representative here for the citizens of Beaufort County, Pamlico County, Hyde County, and parts of Dare County are represented by the 79th district. Our district was redistricted, so lines were redrawn because it used to be Craven County, parts of Craven, and Beaufort County. And now, again, it's Beaufort since 2023. It's been Beaufort, Pamlico, Hyde, and parts of Dare County. And you know the sassy attorney doesn't like to use government names on her page. I love a nickname. I just think it's so fun. And so for this particular incumbent Republican, I am nicknaming him KiKi, because instead of going and helping to get a budget passed this past year when it was due in July, our friend KiKi was out here campaigning for the tax kings, right? That's what he was sitting under a pop-up tent all of October and most of November, trying to get his tax cut team and his big five and all his tax kings elected. And so he was real busy kikiing around there in the parking lot of the Board of Elections instead of being in Raleigh, making phone calls, trying to get, teachers their pay increases, trying to get a state budget passed, right? But oh no, 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 no one wants to do work. We want to kiki around. We got the KiKi. So his name is KiKi. And I'm posting a separate video that kind of walks around some of KiKi's most favorite projects here in Beaufort County that I'll be able to give you some more insight about all the kikiing that our friend KiKi likes to do in these streets. But for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over my top 5 questions that I believe the citizens of Beaufort County, Hyde County, Pamlico County, and parts of Dare County need to be concerned with, and that KiKi needs to provide answers to us. So in December of 21, KiKi was up there in Raleigh passing an appropriations bill. And one of the things that you'll find in an appropriations bill is these things called direct line item appropriations. And those are those special projects that all of our legislators, House or Senate members, like to build in, right? Those special little things that they put their time and attention to, right? Y'all, that's what we call the pork barreling, right? So you'll see that a lot in appropriation bills. Not just KiKi, so I don't want him thinking I'm picking on him. Not just KiKi. But my friend the other day taught me a saying, and I think it's very appropriate for this particular situation. And that is, pigs get fed, but hogs get slaughtered. And KiKi, he had one for us here in Beaufort County. That direct line item was $20 million for the airport, the Washington Warren Airport, the City of Washington Airport. Now, I don't know if KiKi was calling around here to the people of, again, back then it would have been parts of Craven and Beaufort County. If he was calling around and asking anybody what they needed $20 million for, because I know as a parent back then, high-speed internet probably would have been on the top of my list. But again, I'm not privy to those conversations. KiKi would have to answer that question. But KiKi took it upon himself to put a direct line item budget appropriation for a $20 million to be given to the Washington Warren Airport for special projects. And listen now, I'm not trying just to call KiKi to the floor here. Many legislator do this for their local constituents. They do special direct line item appropriations. So there were like 500 or so in the December of 2021 appropriation bill. But one of those, that the KiKi one, the $20 million one, it did not require a competitive bid for the special $20 million projects. So this brings me to my first question, question number one for KiKi, and that is, why did the direct line item appropriation in the December 21 budget for the $20 million Washington Warren Airport special projects not require a competitive bid? Why did you write it specifically not to require a competitive bid that state law usually requires? Because again, we're talking about $20 million. $20 million for a special project to an airport that has never actually been in the black from a budgetary standpoint. They're always losing money, which a lot of services from a city do, okay? So, but it was interesting as to why KiKi thought it was important enough to write it in the language that it didn't require a competitive bid. I wonder why. And again, the other video that I put up about the Washington Warren Airport kind of gives you a history of everything that goes on. But just so you know, so this $20 million airport appropriation, the direct line item appropriation, came in December of 21. Well, in July of 22, so we're talking about 6 months later, KiKi, he's back in Raleigh passing bills. And one of those bills that KiKi passes is to create the Washington Warren Airport Authority. Well, y'all, had the city of Washington gone to KiKi and asked their House of Representative member to pass this legislation? No, they did not. No, KiKi took it upon himself to do this. So, yes, nobody from the city came to him and said, you know what, we really need a state law that creates a Washington Warren Airport Authority. The city had been solely operating and owning that airport, the Washington Warren Airport, since 2009. And they had utilized what's called an advisory board. So they already had a board of business owners, citizens that were giving input and feedback as to what should happen with the strategic plan and the daily operations of the airport. But again, Big KiKi out there in Raleigh, passing these bills, not asking anybody who owns the airport, right, the city, as to whether or not they need an airport authority. Oh no, KiKi's just up there in Raleigh, kikiing around, writing these bills all on his own. So question number two for KiKi is, why did you, in July of 2022, 6 months after the direct line item appropriation for the $20 million to the airport, why did you try to create with state law a separate entity for the airport, the airport authority? Why did you do that, KiKi? Now, y'all, I got a theory as to why KiKi did that, but that's for another video. Because, you know, I've been looking at those campaign finance reports. KiKi. And again, the whole brouhaha between the airport authority, the city, and the FAA is in another video, but it is also very interesting. So question number three, KiKi, is where, if anywhere, Did you publish the request for qualifications or request for proposals for the construction work that was going to be done with the $20 million December 2021 appropriation? And a sub question to that is, how many did you receive? So question number 4 for our friend, the 79th District House Rep, KiKi, how many people, individuals, right? We'll use the actual technical term from the campaign finance report. How many individuals, which includes persons or natural persons or corporations, donated to your campaign that were awarded funds under the $20 million December 2021 Airport Authority Special Projects Appropriations? How many people connected to that project donated to your campaign? And when I say campaign, obviously, I mean anywhere from 2019 up until now, since you're running in a primary again. And I need to clarify for KiKi, because I know he be kikiing around in these streets trying to be slippery, slimy. When I say individual contributions, I'm referring to any shareholder, any owner, any operator, any employee or agent of any corporation or individual that is associated with Metcon, First Floor, or SFL plus A Architects. So who of those groups, KiKi, donated to your campaign between 2019 and present day? Okay, KiKi, are we specific enough now? All righty. So the 5th and final question for our friend KiKi is, have you ever been listed as a relevant party or named in any federal or state criminal investigation? And now, KiKi, just remember, you know I've got all the documents I need, so answer truthfully, okay? Because the people deserve the answers to these questions to come from your mouth, all right? I don't need to be the one that shows in the proof. You go right ahead and jump on in front of this, all right? The people want to hear from you. I really do appreciate you and look forward to talking more about the airport and your town hall meeting that once was a town hall. Now it's a meeting that formerly identified as a town hall. So it'll be interesting to see where you go from there, KiKi. All righty? Okay.